Hey, hey, hey! So glad you're here, and I am excited to dive into the topic of self-photography. Self-photography with an iPhone. What do you need? How do you take photos? All that good stuff. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie and I am so glad to have you with me today. So I want to dive into the topic of equipment. What do you need to get started as an influencer? And honestly, I think there is a huge difference between need and want. So there's tons of stuff I want as an influencer, fancy backdrops, a photographer. I mean, the list could go on and on and on. But what do you actually need to get started today creating fun, captivating photos that are help get you engagement? I think one of the things I was most curious about when I got started were how people managed to get those awesome lifestyle shots where they're in the photo, their kids are in the photo. Who is taking all of these pictures for them? Like, I was like, do they have a photographer that follows them around 24/7? You know, takes pictures of them and their kids in the tub or takes pictures of them in the kitchen, or how are they getting all of these photos? I also want to talk just a little bit about taking photos yourself, of yourself, and how you can get some creative angles and make sure that you get the best shot for you. All right, so let's start with the basics. What do you actually need to get started as an influencer and take some nice photos? Ta-da! Really, I think all you need is a phone, a camera. It's great if you know how to work a fancy camera, if you have a fancy camera. I didn't have anything fancy when I started. I legit had an iPhone and it was like a 5S, I think. So the camera was crappy, the quality was crappy. I go back and scroll my feed and look at some of those earlier photos. Ooh, they are fuzzy, they're not crisp and clear, and some of those details you actually can work out through apps. But for the most part, just having a halfway decent camera is all you need. Now, of course, if you want to be in the photo, you are going to either need some basic knowledge on how to do the self-timer or one of these little bad boys. So I have about 1 billion of these all over my house. As you can see, this one, the little button is actually like halfway worn off because I've used it a lot. I have one of these in my purse. I have one in my van. They're all over. What exactly is it? It's a remote shutter button. Click, click, click. You sync it up with Bluetooth to your phone so I can just sit my phone up and click, 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 click. Now there's a subtle art to hiding one of these in the photo, but as you can see, it's not gigantic. So hiding it in your hand isn't a big deal. Or like when I go to take some of my more creative shots and I'm doing like a compilation photo, I have been known to put it in my mouth before and click that way. So yes, I think having a remote shutter button is really, really helpful. If there's anything that you're gonna get one of these. While I don't think you need one of these to get started, I do think it's extremely helpful. And since they range from about $5 to $13, you're not gonna break the bank buying one. I've listed everything below so you can just go straight to the Amazon link, you know, Amazon Prime it up. It'll be at your door tomorrow. Awesome. Now, while obviously you can just set up your iPhone on, you know, surfaces you find around, that's not always practical, especially if maybe you're trying to get some like nature shots and you're out in the middle of a field or something. There's going to be nowhere to set your iPhone. So the next thing I actually invested in was a good tripod, and I will show you mine in just a second, but my camera is on it. Some of the first tripods I bought were super cheap. I think they went to about like 3 or 4 feet tall. I'm 5'8", so I'm actually on the fairly tall side. So these worked, but I found that because they were a little bit, you know, they were shorter than me, you always slightly had that upward angle, which isn't always as flattering. You know, that's how we get this. Not good. So I actually searched for a camera tripod that was taller, as tall or taller than me, and I have a 70-inch camera tripod. I think that's what it is. Anyhow, so I will show that to you. It's adjustable so that I can get, so even when it's further away, I can angle my camera down a little bit more, which is typically a more flattering angle for, well, all of us. All right, so let me just take a second to show you this bad boy right here. Really, it's nothing fancy, and this one actually isn't great. I have been gluing the base of it for quite a while now because this just wasn't solid enough to be able to hold up to I don't know how often I use it. And on the top here, I actually have the, you know, thing that would normally hold my iPhone. I have it taken off. It's on this one right now. But typically I would have this on top of here. What I do love about this camera stand is the adjustability for it. So see, you can really easily turn it to a sideways shot. Even like you could angle it here. And then if you come down here, this little ball socket moves, so I can actually angle this out if I want to take a picture just at different angles. This is all adjustable. So while this, you know, like connection piece here has been an absolute pain in the butt, I would actually get something like this again just for the adjustability of it. Also, a little camera stand like this can be very helpful. So this is one that has the bendy octopus arms. It can stand on its own. It's pretty easy to adjust this up. Obviously, it's not super tall, but I have set it on surfaces before, or with the octopus arms, I've attached them to like my stroller to take pictures while I'm out and about. So this one's actually not a bad one either. It's just a little bit smaller. I do also use it as kind of like a selfie stick for my large camera when I'm doing vlogs and stuff. And this isn't super expensive either, obviously. So how do we go about taking photos? Well, let me just set this up and I'm going to show you really quickly kind of how I get the angles all right. I'm constantly checking my iPhone, just going back through the photos a little bit to kind of see what angles I like, what pose I like with my body, if I need to adjust anything at all. Checking is definitely huge when you are taking photos yourself. I can't tell you how many photo shoots I've driven away from only to look at my photos later and go, crap, I didn't even get anything that's halfway decent. So please make sure you're checking your photos. It will help you a lot in the long run. Hello and welcome to your behind the scenes photo shoot with me. These photos, I'm not expecting them to turn out great at all or anything because obviously they're more for demonstration. But this wall right here is the wall that I used to take about like, I don't know, 70 to 80% of my photos on. Now my husband's on nights, so he sleeps in here all day, so I can't use this photo or this wall anymore. But let me show you kind of how I would get started taking photos. Okay, so obviously, typically I just open up my camera. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my Bluetooth, which they should sync up automatically. I always check it also, because again, can't tell you how many times I've gotten my everything all set up, go run out in front of the camera and I'm clicking and nothing's happening. It's super frustrating. Anyhow, so click photo. Okay, so let's get set up. I'm going to take a vertical shot. Most of mine are vertical anyhow. Throw my camera in there. I'm going to, I think you're gonna be able to see if I do it higher. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna get it a little bit higher, adjust my angle a little bit, and then I don't always worry about like the extra stuff in there because I can easily edit that out during or in Photoshop and all that good stuff. Okay, so here's me. Normally, I just kind of try to stand in the middle of my camera or a little bit off to the side, and then like I said, I'll go back and look at how the photos are turning out and then adjust where I need to stand accordingly. So let's go ahead and smile. Super awkward taking pictures while people are watching. I mean, not that you're watching yet, but you know what I'm saying. All right, so I'm gonna go back and check those. Oh wow, actually that turned out really cute. My hair is cropped out just a bit, which typically I would back us all up, but because this is super awkward and it's just for demonstration, I'm going to leave it. Another thing to note when you're in front of the camera, like I mentioned with hiding your little Bluetooth camera, if you're doing something with your hands that maybe your hands need to be like up and out, I sometimes put my Bluetooth on the floor and will actually use my toe to push it, so I will demonstrate that. Bluetooth on the floor, I'm gonna pop my foot, put my toe on there. Oh, let's put my hands out. There we go. So just a sneaky little trick if your hands, you need your hands in the photo or something like that and you're not sure what to do with this. So the more you do this, the easier it will get. But a lot of times, let's say I'm wanting to maybe take a picture of my headband or my earrings or something and I want a little bit more of a close-up. I'm just really conscious now of angles. I've been doing this long enough that I usually know what angle I want and kind of how to stand in front of the camera to position myself in a way that works. So let's do a little bit more of like a close-up, top half of my body type look, which this might go out of range for you guys because I'm going to do it up way high. Yep. Hold on, let's adjust you. All right, so I have it up pretty high. Whoop. So I have it up pretty high, as you can see, and I actually have the camera angled downward so that I'm gonna kind of go underneath it, if that makes sense. Okay, which I've got a lot of the floor in there. Okay, so for something that's a little bit more close up, I'm gonna get nice and close under it, and I still gotta shrink down a little bit because this doesn't get quite tall enough. And super awkward knowing people are gonna watch this. Okay, so these aren't great, and I would totally do them again and adjust all the angles and stuff, but I'm just trying to give ideas here of how you can change your angles or get better shots or whatever. So obviously one of the things to keep in mind when you're doing photography in general is that natural light is going to be your best, most flattering. It's going to help you get brighter photos. So the main reason that I love this wall right here is that it is faced right up by my little patio door. So I have this huge open patio door that lets in tons of natural light and gives me, yes, a nice bright area to work with. Now, if you don't have a lot of natural light in your house, or if you want to take pictures, say in like your kitchen. Now my kitchen is not naturally lit at all. Like, no matter what time of day it is, I just don't have good natural lighting in there. So there are fun things you can invest in later on again, but this is a want, not a need. I have this little doohickey here, my halo light, which has quickly become one of my favorite objects, mainly because I now can go anywhere in my house and get nice bright lighting. Or a lot of times, you know, you'll have a window on one side of the room and maybe it's only lighting you, on like the left side, so then your right side is all in shadow. So I can balance that out with my halo light. So I'm gonna take a few shots with and without the halo light in a little bit shadier area, just to give you guys an idea of what it'll do for you. Alright, so when I am using my little halo light, I actually like to, as best as possible, position my iPhone or my camera in the middle of it so that the light is, kind of diffused all around, and also so you get as little shadows as possible. So I just went ahead and shut my curtains so there's not a ton of natural light. It's a little shadier in here now, and I'm going to take a picture first without the halo light, and then I'll turn the light on just to show you what I mean. Okay, so with the halo light, you're going to definitely want to make sure that you check your photos once or twice. I have found out that less is more. I thought I would need it, fairly bright, kind of like the sunshine outside, but seriously, it's bright. So typically I actually have it turned down way more than I think I need to, because otherwise you get glare on your face. So, I will show the difference on here of the before and after. Before is with no halo light, and the after is with just a little bit of light from the halo. And of course, if you are taking in your iPhone, then you know that light is super important. If you get into shady areas or just areas without good lighting, your photos are going to get grainy and gritty. And again, you can change some of that, like you can sharpen an image in Photoshop and stuff, but there's only so much you can do with a photo that just doesn't have the pixels to be sharpened. If it's grainy, it's still going to look kind of fuzzy and grating. So lighting is huge. This costs about $100. It came with a couple different like diffusers and stuff like that, a travel case. To me, it's worth it. Right off the bat, not so worth it. Just work on getting some natural light, work on taking photos outside or whatever. I wouldn't worry about something like this until you're fairly well invested in what you're doing and you feel like you know that this is what you're going to do. Don't go spending your money on a bunch of equipment if you're not positive that this is something you want to do for the long run. I wish that even one of my children was awake, because I would show you kind of some of the behind the scenes of what I do with them and getting them to take pictures. But basically my tips there would be to make sure that you have your tripod, your camera set up, you have your clicker button all ready to go, it's connected, you know that it's working. I like to go ahead, get everything set up. I go stand in front of the camera kind of where I'm thinking. I click a few times, I go back to my phone, I look at the photos, make sure that, I like the angle, I like the distance, do I need to be closer? Because I've done that a lot where I've gotten my kids into position, I've started taking photos, and then later realized we were too far away or whatever. So just make sure that you're continually checking back on your photos, and if you are taking photos with your children, get everything set up as best as you can beforehand so that literally you can grab them, you say smile, cheese, whatever, and take about 30 seconds. I mean, if you can't get it in a minute or two, it's not gonna happen. You need to be done. Because that's when, at least my kids get super grumpy and ornery. Usually they're always messing around, but then they're really messing around. They don't wanna listen to me, and then I start getting frustrated. So my general rule with kids is if you can't get it in 30 seconds to a minute, you probably wanna give it up and try again later. Also, if you're looking for those really fun lifestyle shots that you see all over, just try messing around with angles and adjusting, the height and the adjustment of your phone. So I like to kind of angle it down over us. So you're almost getting this picture as if you're up above me looking down on the situation. Another great thing that I really focus on when I'm taking pictures is facial expressions, hand movements, even how I am holding my child or looking at my child, being close to my kids. All of that can really make a huge difference in a photo rather than just always looking straight at the camera and smiling. The other really nice thing about lifestyle photos is I don't feel the pressure to have my kids just look at the camera and smile. Because part of the fun about a lifestyle shoot or a photo is that you feel like you just literally got transported into the middle of their life or their day or their kitchen. So make sure that when you're taking photos, even as you're clicking, interact with your kids a little, maybe tickle them a little, give them a little squeeze. I'll ask my kids to kiss me on the cheek or something like that. When you actually interact and you move as you're taking photos, you can actually get some of those really fun, candid shots. Maybe it's I tickle my daughter and she throws her head back and laughs. Those are some of my favorite shots to get just because it shows a more realistic side of our life and our family, and I just feel like you actually get to see a sense of our personalities or what it's like to be with us for a day. So don't even worry about if your kids aren't looking, if they're not smiling. If you're going for a more lifestyle type feel, just let all that pressure go because you don't need that to have a good lifestyle shot. I know people get really bent out of shape if they don't have a professional camera. They're afraid that their iPhone, it's it takes decent photos, but they're not going to be good enough. Trust me when I say they are good enough, especially when you're starting out. Up until about 2 months ago, I have taken all of my photos with my iPhone. I have worked with tons of brands. I've worked with big names. I've worked with small names. I've gotten paid. I've done it for trade. It works. Your iPhone will get you places if you know how to take nice photos. You don't necessarily need to take high quality photos in the sense of having the best DSLR camera. You just need to be able to take cute shots, nice shots, shots that incorporate their products well, that share emotions. So don't get bent out of shape that you only have an iPhone or an Android or whatever. Maybe you don't have a top of the line camera. I didn't until a couple of months ago, and I don't think you need one. I still at this point take quite a few photos on my iPhone. I am working slowly to start switching over to the camera that I've been using for my vlogs because I have noticed a difference in the quality, and I'm just feeling at the point in my journey that I want to step up my game when it comes to my photography and my photos. But I know not everybody is there. When you're getting started in the beginning, work on your feed, work on engagement, work on growing quality, loyal followers. Don't even worry about your camera. Buying the most expensive camera out there is not going to get you followers any faster than if you know how to take nice photos and edit them well on your iPhone. So just take that pressure off too, that it's not about camera and how fancy of equipment you have. You can start with little to nothing. That's what I did, and I have no regrets at all. I've been contemplating probably for about a year and a half getting a camera, and namely I actually want it for my real life. I want it for normal shots of, you know, going to the beach with my kids, things that don't necessarily actually fit my feed. I just want to be able to take nice photos of my kids to have, you know, 10 years from now. So in investing in a camera, part of it was for my business, and I did want a few things that a real camera could offer that maybe my iPhone couldn't. But at the same time, it actually had more to do with my family life and just wanting quality photos that I can print out and put on my wall than actually looking at it just as an investment for my business. I actually originally started shooting all of my videos on my iPhone and still shoot quite a few videos on my iPhone. Tip there, you can go into your settings and change your video recordings from, I don't know, whatever, to 4K. So you can record up to 4K quality on your phone. You just need to change it in your settings. Ooh, so here's another really fun tip, and I used to take these kind of photos all the time, but I don't have a chance as much anymore because, again, my husband's on nights, so he's always sleeping in my bed. When I want to take photos like this, you know, the ones where the camera is way up high, you're taking them, I mean, bird's eye view of the family, like it's either like a laying photo or we're all in the bed, you're like, all the time, people are like, how the heck do you get that photo? Because even as a photographer, you can tell it's far enough away that it, like, where is that photographer? Are they like skydiving, or how are they getting these shots? Really, really easily. You see that? You see that right there? Yeah. That's an electric bill because I'm classy like that. So I have pinned it to my ceiling and I slide my iPhone in that little pocket. And again, those clicker buttons, if you're gonna invest in anything, invest in a $5 clicker button, and I lay on my bed underneath this little setup here and take my photos. Click, 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 click. So that is how I get those high up above the bed or on the bed, whatever those kind of photos. From above. There you go. Hashtag from above. That is how I get those photos. It cost me absolutely nothing, and they're just a fun angle. So that's a freebie for you guys. But basically all I'm trying to get at is you can do a lot more with your iPhone than you think. A lot of times I think people are just held back by the fact, oh, it's just an iPhone and I just take photos on my iPhone. So what? If you take nice photos, quality photos, just fun angles and stuff, nobody's gonna be looking, oh, well, I bet that's an iPhone photo. Like, get over it. It's not that big of a deal. Start with your iPhone. Do a good job learning how to take nice photos with your iPhone. Start researching how to edit photos well. That's another thing that I researched for quite a long time, was just how do I edit well? How do I add some special effects or bring out the details or brighten the highlights? Like, figure out your editing style, how to edit your photos well, mess around with some different angles, some different heights, and, you know, maybe take photos from low down or high up or far away. Just mess around with things. You might be surprised what you can actually do with an iPhone. Contrary to popular belief, I do not think that you need a super fancy high-end camera to get nice photos that are going to stand out on Instagram. While it's great to have a high-tech camera or to be able to afford to have a photographer follow you around all the time, like, that would be my dream, to have somebody come take all my photos for me. That is not reality in my day-to-day life, and typically if I'm trying to get lifestyle shots with my kids, they kind of happen in the moment. Like, to be able to hire a photographer to come out for 5 minutes and take a few shots of us, not practical at all. So, work hard at your iPhone game, and you might be surprised at the kind of photos that you can achieve just with an iPhone and a little remote shutter button. If you are not used to taking photos, or specifically if you're not used to being in the photo, I would highly encourage you, buy a camera stand, buy a remote shutter, and just mess around. Take shot after shot after shot, work at angles, work at poses, what looks natural. I think something that people kind of get hung up on a lot, or where photos kind of come out looking awkward, is that people don't look natural at all behind the camera. I mean, you can tell it's very, oh, here I am smiling and I just don't want to be here. So again, a tip for being natural would be to laugh. If you saw me while I was taking photos, even though these are fake and they'll never, you know, they'll never be seen on my feed or anything, something that I do to help get a little bit more of a natural smile, to loosen up a little bit and look more relaxed, is actually to laugh, even to fake laugh, because as you as you fake laugh and kind of force it, and it is really awkward, a lot of times it makes you laugh and it makes you smile. I mean, like, the sillier you can be or just like help yourself loosen up, I think the more natural you'll be. I've noticed when I'm out and about and there are cars around or there's people around, because I don't feel comfortable, you know, like laughing a little or loosening up, those are the photos that look a little more rigid. And even though I know all these things in my head, I still get stuck more, oh, smile, quick, take the photo. Whereas if I can do it like at home or in a space where there's not people, all I have to do is kind of like laugh a little, and then I feel like I loosen up, you know, my facial features relax a little bit, and I get a more natural laugh. Also, if you're going to be smiling in the photo, typically when I ask people to smile, like whenever I go to take shots of people, you know, they give me their, here's my cheesy smile, or like too big of a smile. So typically I tell them, you know, just relax a little bit, or I'll kind of poke fun at them a little, joke with them, try to get people to laugh. If you can get people just to loosen up a little and give you a more natural, like laughing type smile, those are the photos that really stand out and show some really fun emotion. So if you're not comfortable in front of the camera, and I mean, really, how many of us are, I would highly encourage you just to take a bunch of shots. You don't have to plan on putting them on your feed or anything, but practice your editing skills, practice your photography taking skills, start testing out what angles look the best, or, you know, what positions you kind of like to stand in, and what looks fun, what looks flirty, what looks serious. Just mess around in front of the camera. There is no reason you can't take 1,000 photos of yourself. I know it feels kind of weird, but it can actually be really fun. It helps you get to know yourself a little bit better, your smile, what looks natural, what poses look natural. So really, if there's any homework this week, it would be get in front of the camera, just enjoy taking some fun photos. Don't worry about whether or not they're feed worthy or Instagram worthy or Facebook worthy. Just take some fun photos, get in front of the camera, and try to get a little bit more comfortable being there. I'm pretty sure I have tons more to say on this topic, but I can't think of much right now. So I think this will be round 1 on how to take photos of yourself or with your iPhone or whatever you want to qualify it as. And I am sure that I will be sharing more tips in the future. If you have any questions or comments, please make sure to leave them below. I always love to hear your guys' feedback. I'm so glad to have you guys following along. I hope that you are learning tons from this Instagram growth course. Hopefully you've already subscribed. If not, you know the drill. Subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff, and come hang out with me on Instagram, because you know I'm there way more often than I'm on YouTube. I'll see you next time.